What is CLO3D, and do you really need to learn it? Well, if it weren't for CLO3D, I would have never started learning fashion design. I know that's a very strong statement, and the fashion industry existed way before the computer was even invented. So why would CLO3D be such a game changer? Let's start off with the basics. CLO3D is a piece of software that runs on both PC and Mac, and given how accessible powerful hardware has become, it pretty much runs on any modern laptop or desktop computer. It's a piece of software that you can use as an absolute beginner and create clothing right off the bat. You don't need any prior experience. They even include some basic patterns that you can start and mess with, similar to how you can edit stuff in Photoshop or in Premiere Pro. You won't be good at it from minute one, because you will have to learn some basics before your creations can actually become garments. But the fact is, CLO3D gives you an opportunity to experiment and see if design is even your cup of tea. In the traditional fashion world, doing your first experiments could take anywhere from a few weeks to months and even up to a year or so before you'll sew your first garment. And that is only if you dedicate your full time to it and crack open some books, watch a lot of tutorials on YouTube, go to university, or maybe do some practice at a studio. But by the end of it, you won't know how to design anything original. And the item of clothing that you will create will most likely be a very basic piece with none of your input. It might feel great, but it is just the start of your journey. And you'll have to live with the fact that a lot of people can also do that item of clothing way better than you. Back in CLO, in that same month, you can already get through the basics. And using my personal journey as a concrete example, by the end of the first year, I already had my first collection done and ready to go live on our website. It's still up, so you can go and have a quick glance, because I still can't believe how those sleepless nights actually led me somewhere. With that in mind, let's have a look at what CLO3D excels at and why it was fundamental in my personal journey. CLO3D is a tool which was originally created for the gaming and movie industry, but it wasn't called CLO back then. It was actually Marvelous Designer. MD still exists today and is basically identical, apart from some features which only benefit the fashion industry. You can learn to design with either of them. And given the higher cost of CLO3D, you might even be better off going to Marvelous Designer when you're just starting out. Both tools allow you to draft patterns in a 2D format, which are the same patterns that designers use in the real world. You then sew them together and you form your item of clothing. The simulation tool is what makes CLO such a versatile software, as it in a way recreates reality for you. It makes the garment fall towards the ground, but of course, as long as there is an avatar in the way, it will simply fall onto the avatar and dress it. Even the fabrics that you choose affect your simulation. So imagine you have a thicker fabric, it's gonna be different than the one that's very silky and smooth. And CLO pretty much recreates that for you. I remember when I first saw this feature a couple of years ago, and my mind was absolutely blown away. Such a simple concept of connecting 2D planes and making them behave like real clothing. It really opened my eyes to the possibilities. Editing those patterns is even cooler. It's similar to how you can edit any shape in Illustrator by just clicking and dragging your curves and your segment points around. Those newly reshaped patterns are the base of your original design work. And I can already see your gears turning. If you've tried to do an item of clothing, you've probably struggled to cut the pattern and to get it right the first time. And there's just no way that you can add fabric back up. Even cutting it will take a very long time. And the reality is that in CLO you can simply drag a point or a segment. And you can really go crazy here. Starting with a basic t-shirt, you can turn it into a dress, or a blazer, or a not so basic t-shirt. The possibilities are endless, and as long as you have an imagination, you can really express yourself. Once you're happy with the shape, you can either export your pattern and use them to cut the fabric in the real world and make your piece of clothing, but in the digital realm, the creativity doesn't stop there, because you can still add textures to your creation. Those textures basically tell the computer how you want the fabric to look. You can add images to your patterns, either realistic ones that mimic fabric, or ones that are completely out of this world that bend the rules of our own reality. For instance, you can make your clothing out of water, or fire. This is why the software started with the gaming and the film industry before it became a fashion industry essential. The next super exciting thing you can do is animate. You can capture your simulation and use it to create content in motion. With all that said and done, it's time to render your garment and show it to your audience. Rendering is basically your computer putting together an image and photographing your scene, kinda like a digital camera. You don't have to waste money on fabric to get a prototype in place to take photographs of. You can just show it to the world directly and see if they give a shit. You can generate huge engagement like we did with this piece here, long before it was actually made and delivered to clientele. So you're probably already thinking to yourself, damn, so I guess I can't really get into fashion without Chloe, can I? Depends. If you go to study fashion for a few years at a university, you'll be fine working it out with traditional methods, but I highly doubt that they won't teach you Chloe at some point and encourage you to embrace it in order to get a job. Digital will become the norm. It kind of is already, especially in the design stage. And the more the technology evolves, the more likely we are to use it beyond just the design stage and more for presentation and even as a final product like it is in the world of gaming and movies, where you're just assembling beautiful looking pixels. But let's not get so ahead of ourselves. There must be some drawbacks to Chloe, right? Yep, there's the $50 they charge you every month. But it does come with a trial. So you can take the 30 days and when the time is over, you can realistically tell if fashion even is for you. Still crossing my fingers for an open source alternative, but in the meantime, Chloe is definitely the cheapest and most feature-packed option, and we're saying that even after they've refused twice to sponsor us. Another drawback is, in order to best understand how a garment is constructed, you will still have to learn the basics in order to become really good and make your way into the industry. And it doesn't hurt if you familiarize yourself with the sewing machine. We do have a course that teaches you just that. We don't have a sponsor for this video, but we've prepared a super comprehensive course, our own masterclass, which teaches you both the digital skills as well as the traditional skills required to get started in the fashion industry. And we've done it in a very fun, hands-on approach, as it teaches you how to reconstruct the work of famous designers and take it from Chloe directly to the sewing machine. And by the looks of it, is the only course out there which actually covers both, so you can choose for yourself which way you enjoy most, or you can do both, like we are. Thank you for watching this short CLO3D cover, and we'll see you in the next video.
Todo el mundo quisiera ser feliz, al menos una vez.